Thanks everyone for coming. It's really great and lovely to be here. First of all, I wanted just to talk a tiny bit about Nalla because I'm aware that some people might not know who we are. So I thought I'd sort of introduce you to Nalla first, then introduce you a little bit to myself, and then talk to you about the story. Tonight is very much about the story and the journey I've been on and still am on, and how much I've learned along the way. So it's a bit of sort of an insight into my world. First things first, we're just about to turn 5. We're having our 5th birthday party. Thank you. Having our 5th birthday party next week. And the business started by just me in my front room, and we're now a team of 9, which is pretty awesome. And these are the guys, my current team. The business started with this card that I did. Just stop saying we. I always talk about the business as we right from the start, in the sense that I always wanted to grow it. So it's always been we, and I did this card. Started with this card, and it actually was. My sister worked at hereditary breast cancer at the time, so I think she got me the job as a pure panic. Anyway, did the card, which went down really well, and now we're currently branding a global business. We're doing global digitalisation for a company that has offices in 43 countries and over 6,500 employees. I'd love to tell you who it is, but I can't because I'm NDA'd up to the eyeballs and I'd have to kill you. But it just shows you the contrast of where we've come in the 5 years. We work in loads of different sectors. I don't believe in specialising in one area, and that's something that really I wanted to do right from the start, that you can learn from different sectors and learn from different ways to apply it. So our clients, we've got a couple of global clients. Houseman Group in Australia. We also work with a company out in the Netherlands. We work with food and beverage, through to charities. Every sector you can really think of, we do cover. And I wanted to just talk you through a little bit of our work. Don't want it to be about our work too much tonight, but just to give you an idea of what we've done. So, Wearable Futures. This was a project for Ravensbourne College, and it was a 2-day conference about wearable technology. And we're involved in the branding of this, carrying it across into signage within the building, and also carrying it onto the websites and how it worked there. This is a little bit of the website. The challenge here was that we also were involved in live streaming of the event, so we were live streaming onto the website as it was happening, and it all went really smoothly, which was great. This was Welcome Forest College. It's one of the first projects that actually started from my front room, this one, and they came to us and were saying, we really want to keep the logo, but we've got this investment money, we're having some regeneration, and we need to look at how the brand will roll out. So we help them and still work with them today, which is great. Riding House Cafe, just around the corner. The identity, they gave us a name, the identity was on different things you could ride. And this again was one of the first projects that I worked on, and it was looking at transforming what really was a dud destination. I think there was a slug and lettuce there before.
It's horrible.
It's a really cool bar.
Now
we had some fun with doing some crazy things with horses as well. Mask Events is another business that came to us and was looking a bit tired. They absolutely wanted to keep the mask, but they wanted to create something interesting that really represented the fact that they changed for every client they work with. So they're doing a party for boots. They want, they are boots for the night. So we came up with this sort of chameleon identity that rolled out across, and it also ticked off the fashion sector, which they were keen to work on. B2B is a digital first brand that we've done, and this is essentially a space where exercise classes that are left over in the arena, so spare classes here, there and everywhere, and it's a way of combining all that data and getting people to book a class online. So we were involved in the branding, all of the design, tone of voice as well was quite fun and cheeky too. So very much involved in the kind of user experience and building something that could be really clear and easy to use and really easy to filter as well and find the right classes, through to kind of rating things, through to finding it on the maps as well. Iron UK is independent midwives, and they came to us really wanting to kind of humanise their approach. They're essentially a group of independent midwives, and they reach out to women who want that extra care outside the NHS. So the job there was about humanising midwifery and making it really feel accessible. They also talk about their job as being baby catching, which we thought was beautiful. So we kind of see quite a lot of hands come up to reference that. Also, the line is always continual about that continuity of care. The London Summer Event Show and the London Christmas Event Show was a twice yearly event. We needed to represent how events could translate from winter to summer. We did this by a simple triangle. Christmas trees for Christmas, summer bunting for summer, and this kind of branding translated over in the event space. Zucker, again a long-time client of ours, a great restaurant, really great food, and they are like kind of posh dining but without the white tablecloth kind of aesthetic. So our job here was to kind of translate that restaurant experience through into brand collateral, be it from the menu to the zine to some, he brought out some olive oils who are involved in the packaging as well, and kind of really trying to capture that kind of atmosphere of the restaurant over into outside space. Houseman is the Australian company I mentioned before. They're an Australian PR agency. Came with us, had to keep a star in the branding, absolutely obsessed by it. We managed to make it work and bring it through, contemporise it as well, which was great. So first of all, let's begin right at the beginning. Now, I kind of feel, and if anyone in here owns their own business, that really Nalla's story starts with me and my experiences. So I thought I'd take you back. Yes, I'm an Essex girl. And this is High Chelmer and Chelmsford, the highlights of Chelmsford, really. Not much going on there, but I did live with these bunch of lovely people who are my family. Standard suburban family, really. Just, you know, nothing really to say other than they were great. Age 11, I got struck down with glandular fever and ME. It took 6 months out of my schooling from junior school. I then got better and then had a massive relapse age 15. That meant I pretty much missed my GCSE years, which had me really panicking. And I actually did, the school were absolutely amazing, really worked with me. And it meant that when I did my science exam, I actually took 6 hours to do a 2-hour exam. They gave me a stop clock. I kept falling asleep. I'd hit the stop clock, fall asleep, wake up, undo the stop clock. So for me, I'm kind of not telling you this as a sub story. This is like a really important part of Nalla, really, because this actually was about working hard, and this is about having some time out. Actually, when you're stuck in bed every day, I don't know if anyone's been ill for a long period of time, it kind of really makes you think about actually, what am I going to do when I get better? Because this sucks, and what are my dreams? And it kind of really gave me that drive and ambition. So it's a really important part of my life, and gave me this: never ever give up. My aunt still has this poster pinned to her fridge to this day, and it makes me giggle every time I look at it. But essentially, I kind of feel like that most of the time. So losing so much schooling meant I kind of massively had to really get my head down and work hard to catch up with my peers. So I took 2 A-levels, was well enough to do that, and did a lot of kind of extra home tuition, really supported by my family, and some amazing network of tutors that came in and helped. And I worked really hard, and I kind of carried that work. I've never kind of lost that work ethic. I've carried it right through. And when I went to, ended up at Kingston University studying graphic design, again, I was probably, say, quite hand on heart, I was probably the hardest working person on the course. And for me, it's not about always necessarily being the best, the cleverest or the brightest. It's actually about really hard work and graft and getting there. And at the end of the Kingston graduation, I graduated with the first class honours, which I was really chuffed with, and I actually won 2 student D&ADs as well, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was actually at the student D&ADs that I met these guys. I did a hello. Sorry, it doesn't end well. So I met these guys, and they were like, "Come in for an internship." I was like, "Awesome." So I went to Design Bridge for an internship, and I did a stint there, and they really liked me, and they actually offered me a job. And I actually turned it down, and I'm sure that other interns at the time really hated me because they offered me a good salary as well, and they really wanted to keep me. And I felt awful, but I was like, "I'm sorry guys, but I just don't feel this is right for me." And the reason why I felt it wasn't right for me is at the time it was very sort of packaging focused, and I felt that I didn't want to contain myself into just one kind of work stream. I just didn't want to just be like, if I chose that packaging, I felt that maybe I'd be with that forever, which is great if I was really into packaging, but I was really into a whole load of stuff. So I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure." So I joined these guys at Someone for another internship. Mum's hair went a little bit greyer, and worked for free for 4 months trying to get a job. I made myself absolutely indispensable, and I think top tip for when I kind of look at interns now, I'm like, make yourself indispensable. It's really not that hard. So I was that person that was like hoovering the stairs, I was kind of cleaning the toilets, if there was any downtime I was there doing it, and I worked my way into a job, which was great. 4 years later though, being the kind of ambitious person I am, I moved on, and I worked really hard, and I moved on to the partners. So this at the time was like my kind of dream kind of place. I was like, it's a medium-sized agency, growing into a bigger one, got loads of opportunities. At the time they were world #1, I think, in awards. So really kick-ass. I worked under a great creative director called Jack Renwick, who actually lives on my road now, which is really bizarre. And worked really hard, and I kind of was getting really good feedback, and I was like, right, brilliant, top of my game, going places, getting noticed. And then something absolutely uncontrollable happened. 2010 happened, and my dad died 8 weeks before my wedding day. So that was a bit of a shock, and really completely changed my life. And if anyone's ever gone through kind of bereavement, it really sucks the kind of soul out of you. I quit my job at the partners, and do you know what, for a little bit I kind of quit life. I didn't have a job, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just completely numb by the entire thing. I actually lived at the time in Stoke Newington in Abney Park, and near Abney Park, in Abney Park, and it's like this amazing cemetery. I don't know if anyone's been, but it's like it's beautiful. It's just amazing. And I kind of, during this time, I think losing my dad, I kind of got really obsessed with death, but not in a dark way. Just kind of really like, death. What's life about? What am I doing? What do I like doing? And looking at these graves, kind of going around there, was kind of really like, wow, like everyone dies, and the ages on the graves were quite young, and I realised that actually if I died the same age as my dad died, I would actually lived half my life already, and I was like, bloody hell. So for me it was kind of like, what do I really want to do? And I always wanted to run my own agency, and I always thought it would be when I was like 40, when I was like a consultant, you know, I'd maybe start with some clients who knew me, I'd get a really good reputation. And I thought, well, I've got none of those things, but I kind of thought, do you know what, I've got nothing to lose, and it's kind of one of those things, if you don't try you don't know. So I kind of went for it. And I started, sorry, this is the most awful photo, and I don't know why, but this is my first studio. Not quite, it shows how grubby it is, but it's not quite the kitchen table, but it's kind of nearly. I was sharing a house, a 3-bedroom house with 5 people, and the other housemates were happy for me to kind of basically take over an area of the front room and set up a little desk. And so that's what I did, and I worked there. And in its early stages, it's kind of about getting over your fear, and I think that's been one of the biggest challenges. And for some reason, the brain is like programmed in kind of enjoying the fact of I can't. And it kind of is programmed like I can't do it, it's too tough, I can't do it, I'm not right. And when something does trip up or go wrong, then it's almost like soldier so, yeah, done it wrong, yeah, don't bother. And I can't tell you how during this beginning stage how many times I was actually on Gabrielle Skelton's website looking for a new job. Many times going, have I done the right thing? What am I doing? Questioning myself over and over and over again. And I think one of the things early on that I really learned was about kind of taming that brain. And I think that's really important if you want to run your own agency, is you've got to remain positive at all times. And they're kind of training my brain. So like now I kind of don't even consider, I don't have it, I can't. Like it doesn't actually exist for me. And to be honest, I can't doesn't actually exist for most of my, probably all of my team. And that's what's really interesting. It's kind of filtered out. If I said to one of the guys, oh, do you think we could do it? They'd be like, yeah, I can do it. So, and that's what's really lovely about it, is kind of being able to kind of have that positivity and that belief, actually, I can do it, it is achievable, and why not? So after a while, I realised working from home was the worst thing ever for me. I was just, well, if I wasn't in the kitchen, I was doing something else, sort of maybe ironing or cleaning or tidying. I also went through phases. I went through this phase where, it sounds a bit odd now, but I went through this phase where I left the house every morning, dressed for work, would walk round the block for like 15 minutes, then walk back in to my front room and be like, morning, to like myself, and start working. I then went through another phase where I turned into a hermit, where I couldn't even bear to leave, and it was like even going to the corner shop, which was like really not that far, to get some milk. And then I realised, oh my god, I haven't been out of the house for like 55 hours, should probably get out and do stuff. So for me, it was a bit like, right, working from home, just not for me. Some people can do it, but no. I was really fortunate that some friends from uni called Mamu, they're an animation agency, they're really great, you should check them out, little plug. We shared with them, and there was about 10 of us, so I think there was about 3 of them, or 1 of me, but I rented 2 desks because, again, of course I'm going to bill it, and some other freelancers. And we meant we could share the rent and kind of get going really easily. It worked out really well for us because Alice joined as an intern, and I took her on as permanent, and it meant that we could actually pretend when clients came in without lying, but it looked like we were a proper established firm. It looked like there's 10 of us in the room when actually it was Nalla was just me and Alice at that time. So slightly deceptive, but they never knew. Also, you have to have a studio dog, right, if you've got a studio. So we got Florence, and she's now chief kind of joint manager. She's actually here tonight as well. Yeah. So yeah, she's well loved, important part of the studio. And in the beginning, it's kind of one of the main challenges for me was like this whole mini hat thing. And to be honest, that doesn't change. It, you know, in the beginning, it is intense, but it's always intense. And as kind of in the beginning, it is really like obviously being a designer, HR, studio manager, cleaner, kind of accountant, chasing unpaid invoices, all of these things. It was you have to do it all. But as time gets on, that kind of does get less. Now I've obviously got people to kind of chase invoices for me and things. But in the beginning, it's all about kind of wearing many hats, but kind of understanding that will ease off. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It was also early on that I realised this. So yeah, running a business takes a lot of time, and for me it was kind of a case of choosing 2 things. And for me, my most important things for me were family and business. So it was a case of my friends had to come kind of third choice. It meant I missed a lot of birthdays. It meant that I was probably saw them maybe once every 3 months, but they all understood. And the lovely thing is that now, with our 5th birthday, they're actually coming to the party, so I'm kind of making up for it by applying them with free booze. So that's something that's to bear in mind. It's also about that work ethic, which I think was really embedded in me from my illness and then through to university, and still now. And when you think about it, if you look at the best athletes in the world, look how much they've given up. They don't lie in, they don't eat junk food, they don't go out partying all night. They're kind of on that target, they want to win that medal, and they're in the zone. And really, to be a business owner, you kind of need that same vision and that same dedication of, this is what I want to do, I'm going to really go for it. So this is me this year in Mallorca on holiday. It's 5 a.m, the cleaner's taken the photo. Now, the thing is, also, is about sacrificing stuff. So, I'm sole director, and when a large contract comes in your door a week before you go on holiday and they need all the paperwork, there's no one else I can delegate it to. So, this was me getting up at 5 a.m. I worked 5 a.m. till 8:45, which meant I had a quick kind of shower to meet my family for breakfast at 9. And then, which meant that we got a lot of paperwork done. I could liaise with the studio. Karen was doing her bit during the day. I could brief who's doing what on the contract, and then pick up calls. And I've actually spent about an hour chatting to you guys from the beach, saying to me, "You're insane. Get a holiday." And I was like, "I can't. It's so exciting." So it is about sacrifices, but it's sacrifices, but I don't mind because it's just so exciting. Early on as well, I dealt with a lot of these I'm the imposter issues, and I'm not sure if it's being a female or being a creative or just kind of those early days, but a lot of people who are setting up a business tend to be a bit like this. I've been to loads of networking events where with men in suits with absolutely huge egos. I'd like to say we're quite lucky in the creative industry, it's not so much, but just like, oh yeah, so what do you do? And I've kind of been in places, and I kind of laugh at myself now, but I've kind of been in places where I've actually not said that I'm the director, and I've not said that I'm the director because I just didn't absolutely have the balls for it. So I'd go in there and I'd be like, oh, and who are you? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, Vicki, I'm a designer at Nalla Design. Not mentioned at all that I was a director. I've even been to places where I've not even said I was a designer. I said, oh, yeah, I'm Vicki from Nalla Design. What do you do? I'm the receptionist. Because I couldn't bear talking about where I was, what I was at. You know, it was just like, to these people, I just didn't feel like I fitted at all. And this is a prime example of how much I didn't feel like I fitted. This is a photo shoot just from last year, so this new revelation is quite recent. And this was when I said to the photographer, I was being interviewed for a magazine, I think it was Creative Blog, and they needed a photo. And so I said, yeah, sure, okay, great, get a photo. So the photographer came round and I said, right, I need to look like a woman, an older woman in the know. I don't want to look young, and I want to look like Deborah Meaden. So I made him take a photograph of me looking like Deborah Meaden, and he was just like, I've never had anyone ever to look old like this. Like most women or anyone goes and make me look younger, make me look, hot. But yeah, I was like, no, make me look old. I want to really know what I look like I'm doing, and yeah, confident and older woman definitely. And so one of the things I've realised is actually being more me, and actually by being more me, I'm being more genuine to myself, and I'm actually being more genuine to Nalla, and I'm being more genuine to our clients. So recently I'm kind of like, and I say recently, in the last year, we've really been championing this over at Nalla, and it actually came from a team meeting, so it didn't even come from me, and one of the guys was like, actually, why are we pretending, why are we like trying to sound grown up? Like, let's just sound young. Like, people want to hire like young, on the pulse, digital savvy designers. Like, let's just cherish that. So that's what we're doing, and one of the key things is about being more me and being more confident in that. And also, when you run a business or when you're setting one up, you've probably heard the business plan, the dreaded business plan. Well, guess what, guys, I don't have one. I don't have one, and that's quite a hard thing to say. I've spent a long time pretending that I've had one. My accountant certainly thinks I do. My mentor certainly thinks I do. So kind of slightly fluffed it and basically said, yeah, I've kind of got it under control, yeah, know the plan, know the vision. And you know what? Not having a business plan is the best thing ever. And the reason for that is that it means that you're not constricted to anything. So it means that my business can grow and adapt as things come up. We can be really quick. We can be super change our direction. We can. I can suddenly say, right, we're going to grow loads. I can suddenly say we're going to plateau out, and it gives complete flexibility. An example of this is this year. Beginning of this year, we did forecasting, and the accountant and my mentor were saying, right, so what are your targets for this year? Now every year I've always gone, going to grow the business by 20%, and they're all like, yes, okay. And every year they're like, you know, you managed to pull it off, but 20% is quite a lot. I'm like, yeah. So this year, guys, we're going to go for 40%. And everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why 40%? What's it based on? Like, what statistics have you got? You know, have you got a client in the bag or something going on? I was like, no, I just kind of feel it, and I kind of feel that 40% is going to be achievable, and that is what makes every accountant kind of turn in their grave. So essentially, I said, okay, we'll go with your 20%, but just so you know, guys, 40% is in my head, and that is what we'll probably do. And they were like, yeah, so we wrote it all down. Anyway, I'd just like to add, we hit 40% extra turnover in July of this year. So we've actually probably doubled, so we've probably gone 50%. And I kind of was a little bit like, okay. But money is a really difficult thing. Being a creative, oh my God, what do you charge? Jesus. So really, what we do at Nalla is, and what many agencies do, is make something beautiful. And the thing is beauty sells. And if I look at our client statistics, you know, we're doubling the income for some of our clients we work with. So how can you put a price on that, actually, and the value? And it's such a tricky thing. And even right from the beginning, like, how do you actually set an hourly rate? Charge too little and you look like Tesco value, and you look like a joker and you don't know what you're doing, or you look cheap and like, oh, there must be something wrong. Go too high and they're like, oh, you're a bit above your station, a bit big for your boots, you're only a small medium-sized agency, what are you doing? And for me, I think the best piece of advice is join DBA and go on their statistics, which is exactly what I did. So I was like, oh my God, what do you charge? Oh, there's a whole resource, there's a whole survey that tells me what an agency my sort of size is charging on average. Brilliant. So we use that a lot to gauge now, whereas before we were a little bit blind. It's also about the whole money thing. It's about... for me, it's about knowing my weaknesses and my strengths. So, hand on heart, I'm a bit crap with money. And the reason for that is because I'm a creative. I just want to do nice work. When I say I'm crap with money, I mean I would probably do a lot of stuff for free, just because I love it. Because I get excited by the project and by the brief. And so that's why I hire people to constrain me from doing this. So I have people like Karen and Kerry, who are project managers, and Christine, who manages the finances, and the accountant and the mentor, to guide me on not kind of saying, yes, I do everything for free, and actually being committed to a work. And as a designer, it's really hard to do that, to be really confident and be like, right, this is my work, this is what I do, and this is what I think I'm worth. And also I feel like with being a business owner, there's a hell of a lot of risk involved, and I actually think risk is a really good thing. Taking risks, I feel, is an essential part of Nalla. A recent example is I gambled my last 3 months' salary on getting a developer in this. My team probably don't know this, but essentially I felt we should get a developer in. This really good guy was available, and I was a bit like, you're really great and we want to redo the Nalla site, but actually I'm sure some other stuff will come in and then I can pay myself as well. And you know what, it did work out. So we ended up getting 2 extra kind of digital projects. He's been working on those, and to the point now where I'm kind of like, okay, he's so busy that we're actually trying to work out his schedule to try and fit in how we can fit him, how we can get him to do everything before he finishes his stint in December. And I think risk is so important. And again, it's trying not to listen too much to those business plans or those accountants or those sensible people like that. And I think has really helps kind of control that, essentially. And running a business is completely different to being a creative. And if there's any creatives in here who are like, right, I want to set my own agency, I love design, I kind of just want to like kind of pre-warn you. When you run a business, you run a business. You stop designing. Early stages, yes, I was absolutely designing. Now I creative direct and I design through people, which I love, but I don't design anymore. And it's kind of once you fit in with all the kind of meeting the clients, doing the big picture stuff, kind of guiding the team, giving all the feedback, that's all kind of time. And then you've got the numbers bit, the accountant, and then you've got the like balancing this and that and new business. The kind of actually designing I don't do anymore. And I kind of for a while I really kind of struggled with that. I was like, but I've worked so hard at being a good designer, right? I've won some awards for being a good designer, so why am I doing this other thing? And for me, I actually realised that running a business is actually really creative, and I get a lot out of it, a lot of creativity out of it in that sense. And it's quite interesting now because I don't use Creative Cloud that much, and I've become incredibly slow. And it's once being that quickest person in the room, I used to be a little bit of a wizard. I used to work with the Adobe Suite every day. Now I'm kind of not that fast, and it was experiencing that and being really present to that about 6 months ago was a real eye-opener. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm a bit slower. But I've still got a few tricks up my sleeve for the interns and the juniors, but in terms of speed of stuff, it's giving up that and switching it to something else. And I'm more seeing in Excel now, yawn, than the Creative Suite. And I wouldn't have got anywhere without a little help from my friends. And when I talk about my friends, I'm talking about my friends at Nalla, the rest of the team. I'm talking about my friends, other business owners that really inspire me, and my mentor, Chrissy. Firstly, I love learning, and learning is really important and been really important for Nalla in terms of growth. And the guys on my team will know, like, I'm always like, does anyone want to come to this talk? I love learning, and I really love learning, not just from when we do make a mistake or when things don't go badly or when we lose a pitch, but actually learning when things do go right, because there's always room for improvement. And I still make mistakes. I was at an exec meeting just last week. I've got a really bad habit of when I get really excited about design, I swear it's a little bit like Tourette's. It's really bizarre. It just comes out when I'm really excited and explaining an idea and concept. So I was at this exec board meeting of the biggest client we've ever worked for. Obviously really keen to be the best, showing some great work, and they're really being brave. And I swear at them. And yeah. So that didn't go so well, but I learnt now I slightly swear when I get overexcited. Let's try and be a bit aware of that. And the team certainly are. I find it amusing. The other thing that I learned last year is that you can mess up and it's not that bad. We got approached last year to rebrand one of the largest kind of fish restaurants in the UK. Really big pitch, really excited. I did loads of research on the market. I did loads of research on new trends coming up. How could I really give them the best? How can the design really work with how the market's changing, because the food market changes rapidly. And so I sold in this concept of flexitarianism, which flexitarianism, for those of you who don't know, it's about you're a vegetarian most of the time, but you occasionally cheat and have fish or meat. And so I explained to them that actually it's about flexitarianism. This could be really interesting for you guys. Fish is really expensive in your restaurant. You've explained it's quite a big overhead, so perhaps changing to this sort of tact. And their faces were a little bit like this. But we're a fish restaurant. And I now realise it's kind of like going to Byron and saying, yeah, you shouldn't do burgers. But it's all about learning, and it's kind of taking it as a learning curve and in good humour is always going to help you through. Listening to the team is really important to me, and I'm definitely not the sort of person who runs the agency as like I know best. I always listen to everyone on the team. Everyone's got an opinion. I then filter that and then decide what the best route forward is. And that really helps everyone feel like they're included, I guess, as well. But also, it also wouldn't be Nalla if it was just like, this is how we're doing it, guys. You know, my way or the highway. It wouldn't be the culture that we've got. Some key inspirations for any of you guys who are setting up would be, these are my kind of dream team. So Simon Sinek, absolute genius, and also obviously trying to copy Deborah Meaden. He's got some amazing books, Start With Why and Leaders Eat Last. Malcolm Gladwell has also got loads of great books. Michael Gerber, he does this E-Myth Mastery and E-Myth Revisited, and it's all about why most small businesses fail. Incredibly interesting. Old, don't get me wrong, so I think it's like early 90s maybe, but still really interesting and a lot to learn there. Paul Smith, I love that he's kind of really stayed true to himself, in a sense of he runs his business in a really fun way, and it's all about fun and creativity. And if you've ever seen if anyone's got Netflix, you should watch his documentary on there, because that's quite informative and kind of makes you think, oh yeah, he can do it. I can be quite fun and jokey too. Richard Branson is great at being ruthless in business, but also being like highly kind of entertaining. So his whole BA thing is so competitive. If anyone reads any of his books, it's just like, just really just has a laugh and kind of just takes the piss slightly out of other people and gets away with it. So I think he's got a really nice approach, a ruthlessness, but kind of backed up with this kind of sense of humour. So really entertaining. I've also got Chrissy, my mentor. Chrissy I met in 2013, and I would really advise anyone, if they're thinking of stepping out, to get a mentor. She's come up with some great tips. She's coached me through some dark times, some difficult times, and really helped me kind of establish the business so that it's right for everyone. Although the interesting thing about mentors is that it's what they say isn't gospel. It's really about remembering that you run it and taking their advice and their input, but actually kind of tailoring it to you and whether it's right. You make the final decisions. In the beginning, I just kind of was like, yeah, you know what you're doing, you're not doing, I'll implement it. And to be honest, there's been a few things that I've actually regretted. And now I'm like, she thinks that, I'm probably not going to do that. But there's other stuff that I will. So it's about kind of remembering that you run it, you're in control. And finally, just to wrap up, I could have said it's too hard. I could have said it's too difficult. And I could have said, you know what, I can't do it. I could have said I'm too young, I don't know enough, I'm not experienced enough. But kind of I feel that everyone can do it. And there's good times and there's bad times. There's times when you get rejection after rejection after rejection, and it's about learning to deal with that. And it's also about great times when you're like, bloody hell, did we seriously just win that? OMG, check us out. So there's highs and lows. And I kind of genuinely think, if I can do it, 28-year-old girl from Essex, then I'm sure you guys can absolutely do it too. And I've had no investors, there's been no business partner, there's been no rich parents starting it off, and there's been absolutely no bank loans to this day. Everything has grown from working hard, making a profit, reinvesting the profit back. Working hard, getting a profit, reinvesting the profit back. Yes, I'm not rich, but hell, I've got a really great business. Thank you.